Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Chief Triple H Transformers Reviews. It's been a while now. Thankfully, my arm, I've still got full use of my hand. From my recent dislocation again. Basically, I've dislocated my shoulder for a while, so I've been out of action pretty much for the past basically about 6 weeks now. Yeah, about 6 weeks. I've not been able to do any work or anything because my arm's been bandaged up in a sling. But thankfully, it's not too serious. I've got my use of my arm back. What I've been up to for the last few weeks, not much really. Been off work, so that was good because I got to spend time with my kids. Because usually I'm working long hours, as you do in the pub restaurant trade, which pretty much means I only get to see my kids for a few hours, whilst they're off school in between and whatnot. And it's great, watching my kids, and I've really bonded with them over the last few weeks. I've really got them into the Marvel Universe. With the likes of a superhero squad, Iron Man, the Avengers, and so forth. So they're really getting introduced into that now, which is great, and it's fun. I think one thing that I see between me and my kids, and my relationship between me and my father was he was from a different world, different background, different everything. He had a much harder life growing up, so he didn't really have a childhood. So when it came down to me and my dad, we didn't really relate. And I think also there's that culture difference as well, because I was born in Britain. I pretty much grew up with what was around at the time, whereas with my dad, he grew up in a farm out in the middle of nowhere where they had no TV or anything at all. And his childhood was rearing cattle. And I think that really, it just really bonds me together better with my kids, if you know what I'm trying to say. It's something that I never had as a kid, but now that I'm experiencing it from the other end, I'm appreciating it a lot more. But anyway, yeah, that's that thing. What else? Oh yes, I went to roll call. Out in Fordham Bridge, which was pretty good. Yeah, I did actually really enjoy it. I met a few of the other YouTubers out there and some of the Moonbase 2 crew. Met a few new friends and put faces to names which I knew of. Like I met Logan Blaze there. Of course, Time Lord was there. Helen the Melon. And of course, I met Dave, which was a bit worse for wear in the morning. When I met up with them, it's a shame I couldn't meet up with them for the Saturday night, but unfortunately, kids. But apart from that, I did manage to get a few pieces. Picked up a Masterpiece Rodimus, had to do it. Then I've been told by my brother. You see, this is the story. Probably about 5 weeks ago, my brother went back to Hong Kong. Says, "Oh, whilst you're out there, Rodimus is being released. Pick one up for us." So he picked one up, got to the airport, and they turned around to him and says, "No, you can't take that on board," because he had one hand luggage and the Transformer. So he had to give it to my dad, and my dad gave it to one of his friends, and they sent it via the local post back to here. And I had received nothing for weeks, absolutely nothing. But since then, I found out that my missing Rodimus has reappeared in Hong Kong. It's been returned back to the sender, and they decided not to send anything to my old man whilst he was over there. So in the meantime, I've gone out, bought another Rodimus, and they've said, yeah, we're going to send you out the other Rodimus in the post sometime. So eventually I'll have two Rodimuses, which will be nice, because I think the posability and the way you can display them in both alt mode and Robot mode is absolutely gorgeous. Both modes are absolutely gorgeous, and I will probably at some point display them in both modes. But I was talking to my wife about this today, in fact. This is the dilemma of having kids, is that who are also into Transformers, where to actually display them without getting sticky fingers on them. So I'm thinking about investing in lockable cabinets of some sort. I'm actually just sorting out some figures to go onto eBay soon, and I left them by my PC in freezer bags, and walked out of the room. 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. Brought back in, all out of the bags, all out, and then playing with them. So yeah, this poses a problem, I guess, to some parents who share the same joy and love of Transformers. But yeah, picked up Rodimus, picked up a few extra Reveal the Shield figures, and I also picked up a few books whilst I was out there. Went to all the cool stuff and bought a few things off the shelf there, and also picked up a Scourge Cyclonus, because I don't know where my original Cyclonus has gone. Somewhere. I had the Target Master version, that's gone walkabout, and I wanted to replace my Scourge because my Scourge was pretty much knackered. So yeah, I did manage to pick one of those up as well, and a few little bits and bobs, a few accessories to make a few figures complete, and also got to meet the one and only Simon Furman, who does a lot of the writing for the Transformers original 1980s comic book, as you know, as well as the current IDW stuff. So yeah, we had a long chat whilst he was quiet, and yeah, I got to delve into the mind. I wish I had my camera with me just so I could film the interview. So if he's at AA this year, I will ask him, I will beg him if I can sit down with him in a room somewhere just to have a one-to-one chat with him, because I think, you know, from my respects, he is my hero. His writing, in some respects, has developed me into the person I am today through his comic books. But yeah, so yeah, roll call, brilliant, absolutely brilliant time there. Met a few people, had a good time, had lunch with a few people, and got chatting to some great people. Yeah, some great guys down there. But yeah, of course, this is a Transformers review. This is my first review. I think this is my first review of the year. I've done a few videos for the year before I dislocated my shoulder and even during. And I did originally intend to do a lot more videos by now, but it just didn't work out. So please forgive me. I have been away as well. And of course, the big news is I'm going to BotCon, as some of you already know, and I'm really, really fucking looking forward to that. I really am. Sorting some stuff out for today. Got the visas sorted out, and just counting down the days really until I get onto that plane and go to LA. But yes, this is a Transformers review. I've already blagged on for a few minutes now, and I ain't even started on the tour yet. But yeah, of course, I'll be doing a series of primes, which I wanted to finish off, but I don't think I'm going to. But I'll try and keep the odd one or two. I'll keep going with a series of primes, but I'll also be doing other Transformers reviews at the same time. But for today, you lucky people, I'll be doing another prime, and this one actually really caught my eye. When I first originally saw these, I thought, it's another gimmicky thing, and that is, of course, Reveal the Sheild Optimus Prime in his very G1-esque mode, both in robot mode as well as in vehicle mode itself there. And of course the gimmick goes back to the 80s, whereby you had the rub sign to see whether the Autobot or Decepticon. When I first saw these, I thought, it's just another gimmick, another Legends class crappy figure, which, I've tried to stay clear from Legends figures, to be honest, because from my experience of them, they're cheap, they're nasty, they fall to bits, they're loose, they, the quality of the figures themselves are a huge letdown and not worth the money. That was my opinion of the Legends figures. However, in saying that, I was quite surprised with these ones. I mean, I think what really put me off Legends, as well as the price of them, especially here in the UK, they have gone up dramatically. You know, from a pocket money piece where you could have, £3 or £4, you could pick up one of these Legend figures. Suddenly they were £7, £8, even £10, to some extent, and they were very mediocre figures. So yeah, I was very surprised. I mean, this is actually my one, but I'm not. As you know, I like to keep my stuff in the box, and I bought one for my son as well, and I like it. I really, really do like it. I mean, obviously the big letdown is the big chunky feet. At the end, you can flip those down and everything at all, which they could have done very easily, but I assume it's just a cost factor of having an extra hinge or something. And even the wheels themselves, you've actually only got two wheels that actually spin, which are the front section and the rear section. These middle wheels are fixed, so they don't move at all. But aside from that, that is a very, very G1 Prime. Apologise for the lighting; it's not the best. It is very dark outside, as you can see behind me. It's now 3 o'clock in the morning, and as some of you do know, I don't really sleep that well. But it's not a bad figure at all. It's not a bad figure at all. I mean, you've got paint apps for the windows itself there. But the paint's coming off from the chrome itself there on the smokestacks. Long smokestacks as well, which I do like, because you normally get the little stubby crappy ones on these type of figures. But yeah, then that is unarguably a G1 Prime. From his cab mode, it does roll well, which you can't see, but it does roll well. Trust me, it does. And yeah, I mean, there's not much more to that. Kibble, I mean, it's not too bad in the kibble wise. It is very well disguised. And watching my sons play this made me realise my original love for Transformers. These are very simple to transform. There's, it is very G1 like, bar from one movement, which I will show you in just a second. But apart from that, the playability for a child, which is essentially what these are aimed for children, they are fantastic little figures themselves. So, let's transform him. So it's pretty much the same as G1. Pop his arms out there from the sides, swing them out open, bring his legs down. Now this is the only difference itself, whereas the original G1 Prime, you lift the head up and then you would have the G1. This one, you simply twist his waist around, and suddenly you've gone from Fat Prime to Slimline Prime. So yeah, he's on the slim fast plan. Pop the legs apart, and there you have it. So there's the face mold itself there. It's a shame they couldn't do anything about these little big huge wheel things there, where you could flip them in, fold them in, or have them on the side as a hip there or something, rather than just having these big bulky wheels on his wrist itself there. And his hands are moulded to actually hold some sort of weapon, which didn't come with the figure itself, so whether it was a cost factor or something, but it's a shame, because it would have really set the figure off if it had some sort of weapon to hold itself there as well. But other than that, you've got a very playable Reveal the Sheild Prime. I keep saying G1 because it is essentially a G1 Prime, which is something with the Reveal the Shield figures. You got the G1 Megatron, which transforms to a gun, Starscream in his original G1 colours, Prowl, and so forth. And I think, aside from the Gold Bumblebee, from the Gold Bug thing, this is a complete throwback to a G1, which is great for all the older fans who did grow up with G1, or the fans of G1. It is. I I wouldn't say rebooting, but it's it's not recycling. It's re-energizing the original love for G1. And I think it goes to show the original. I mean, I'm probably right in saying this, but it's possible that the people who are now designing Transformers, like Reveal the Shield and so forth in Hasbro and whatnot, especially I would say it's true for the Far East, from their influences of their figures, are essentially throwback to the G1s, because when they were children growing up, the original G1 figures is what they had. And then we had a small spate of the during the 90s, with these weird looking Beast Wars and so on and so on. And now we're going back to the original roots of G1 again, and it's both from a fan's point of view, as a father's point of view, watching his children playing with them, and the fondness of my own childhood memories of having these kind of figures. I think it's absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'd highly recommend these, legends, figures. They're not cheap, for what they are. But in saying that, they are very playable. This is going to be another rant again, but fuck me. Seriously, fuck me. I've spent a small fortune on Revenge of the Fallen, the original live movie, and animated Transformers specifically for my kids. It's even figures that I would even buy for myself. And I had to say, not many of them survive. You got bits pinging off, falling off, cracking off. I've literally just bought the 2-pack with Cyclonus and Hot Rod. I want the little crappy Matrix thing. And Hot Rod lasted 3 days before the hood of the car snapped off. And it just shows the quality of the cheap plastic they're made in. Not impressed at all. Really not impressed at all. And the amount of Transformers that I've been now. I look back at how many G1 figures are still intact in one piece. And yeah, they were square, they were bulky, and they had limited movement. But you didn't have bits pinging off, flying off, breaking off. I mean, of course you had the few, but they stood the test of time. And that's something that these newer figures, unfortunately, they don't last long. But this figure, they've had this for probably about 3 weeks now, and it's still intact. He's got all his limbs, everything's still there. So yeah, from a parent's point of view, I'm very happy. So hope you've enjoyed this review. It's gone on a bit long for such a limited figure. And thank God they didn't have the limits for the for the YouTube videos anymore. But this is I thought I'd slowly ease myself back into it because I've not been doing reviews for such a while. So yeah, this is Chief 88888 logging off for now. See you next time.